Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Bkfc athlete Paige Dancer, and you're watching Cage Side with Christopher James.
What happens if you lose, Nick?
Who the hell is Aquaman?
I get Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Pebbles, I get sausage biscuits. Maybe you guys will see a little footage of that later on because we got some good stuff.
Go with the deuces. There you go, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to another episode of Cage Side with Christopher James. I am Christopher James, and I am happy to be here today. Just got home from Busch Gardens, took my grandson over there. He's 3 years old. We had a whole bunch of fun, me, my wife, and my grandson. And I tell you, man, it's always a good time when we party up here at the world-famous Cage Side with Christopher James show. So I've got 3 guests lined up for us today, man, and we are going to have us a damn good time. I am excited to be here. My first guest is coming up in just a moment. I'm just going to go ahead and share all this out right now so we can get the party started. UFC this weekend. We got 2 Bkfc shows this weekend, Thailand and Orlando. It's Arnold Adams defending his heavyweight championship against the man himself, Dylan Kleckler. It's going to be a hell of a fight night. And then we also have Bkfc Thailand this weekend. So 2 Bkfc shows. On the same weekend, we have UFC 273, is it, this weekend? Justin Gaethje versus Charles Oliveira this weekend. Oh, my Lord. That fight is going to be insane. I believe it's also Carla Esparza and Rose Namajunas. So that's going to be another insane fight. We just finished Bkfc the past weekend. Lorenzo Hunt defended his belt against Joe Riggs. That was a hell of a fight. There were some other big moments from that fight. Oh, no. And my first guest, I met this guy a long time ago here in Florida when he fought for us at the XFC. He came to us all the way from South Africa. And a matter of fact, when he got to town, he went to Busch Gardens with our boss. So it was funny. He called me today. I was like, yeah, I'm at Busch Gardens. He goes, I was there when I came in for Tampa for his first fight with XFC. Which is a true story. He been fighting at Bkfc. He lives now in Florida, in Weston. So it's South Florida, west of Sunrise and Plantation and all that. He's an absolute awesome dude. And this guy kicks fucking ass. If a sport like bare knuckle wasn't made for anybody like him, then I don't know who should be fighting bare knuckle, because this guy is one of those guys that just brings it every single time. So we are going to bring him into the show right now. I am happy to welcome him back. To the show. I should say welcome back. Welcome for the first time to the show. The man himself, Jeremy Pitbull Smith, joining us on the show. And there he is. Jeremy, welcome to the show, brother. How are you? Can you hear me?
Good. I don't think I can hear you properly.
All right, good. I'm glad. And I can hear you.
Hang on 1 second.
Okay.
I can't hear anything you say. Hello?
I can hear you.
No.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can't hear you.
Okay.
Sounds like your thing's on slow.
Click off and click back in. There we go. I think you got it. Hopefully this will work tonight. All right, let's try this again. Let's welcome in my man, Jeremy Pitbull Smith. Can you hear me?
Good. Now I can hear you.
All right, perfect, man. Sometimes it works like that, man. It's good to have you on board. How are you, my friend?
I'm good at you, man. It's been a while, eh? How you been?
It's been a long time, man.
Yeah, man. 12 years to be precise.
12 years. Wow. 22.
2010.
Yeah, my God.
2010 was when I fought for XFC.
Yep. You still look the same. I look a little older.
Oh, thanks, man. I got a bit of a beard.
Yeah, I got the beard kicking in, all the gray hair. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Yeah, I got a lot of grays and 2 more scars. Which, nothing like
chicks like scars, so it's okay.
Okay, they got stories. All the scars tell a story.
All the scars tell a story.
Yep.
So when did you move here full time to America, to Florida?
Immigrated here last year, January.
January. So you've been here for a little over a year. So how do you like it so far?
Yeah, I love it. I've always loved Florida. That's why I came here.
Well, that's
I kind of fell in love with it. Yeah. I fell in love with it back then when I used to fight here for XFC, and I used to love the place. I was excited every time I came. Well, you actually just get the thing done.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're here full time because it means we'll get to see a lot more of you inside the ring or the cage. Right now with the Ring for Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship.
Yep.
Yep. So let me look up your record here. So you've had, you fought for BYB, you fought now for BKFC. Yep. You were on a bit of a losing streak for your MMA career. So
yeah, I got a lot of split decision losses.
Yeah, I'm looking at your record. You had one that was a doctor stoppage because of a cut.
That was
yeah. You've had the split decision. Yeah, I see them all. But so what made you decide after doing the MMA thing and again experiencing some losses? A lot of guys would have just given up and went and got a regular job and got out of the fight game. You chose to go bare knuckle. Tell me why.
Well, I've always liked the boxing aspect of it. So, like, obviously, to start boxing at my age is a little bit hard to get a few fights at my age. A bit later on in my career, the boxers want everybody early 20s, and I'm in my 30s. So I was looking at the bare knuckle became quite big, and I thought, oh, this is perfect for me, boxing without gloves. So it's great. So I thought, well, let me try this. I did the MMA. I didn't want to stop because I thought I had more fighting. Things just, like you can see my record, a lot of them were split decision losses. They weren't really my fault. If you look at them, a lot of them were losses to the guy in his hometown. So, I don't know. Yeah. Difficult to beat somebody when you play the judge as well.
Do you miss doing MMA?
Yes and no. Of course I do. That's what I started with. I love it. But to be honest, less injuries with no wrestling and grappling and kicking, and it makes it a lot easier to just focus on your hand. So I can put more time into it, and I can run my business at the same time. With the MMA, you got to train at least 3 times a day to cover all the aspects. You need coaches for everything. With the bare knuckle, you're just doing the boxing and the cardio and the strength and conditioning.
Are you still training the same way? Are you still going through the training? Are you still doing grappling training and wrestling and all that stuff?
I haven't been there for a while. No, I don't want to take a chance of getting injured if I'm going to fight them. So.
And the reason I ask you that is because somebody told me another bare knuckle fighter, and I can't remember their name right now off the top of my head, but it'll pop up in my brain in a minute. The guy I talked to, he said he still trains full MMA stuff. He does full MMA rounds. He spars, he gets all his pads on, everything, but the reason he does it, he said, because it helps, like he's ramped up his boxing training, for his footwork and his cardio. But he said the MMA training keeps his cardio at a level different than a lot of other fighters in the bare knuckle game, because he's ready for everything and anything at all times. So do you agree with that philosophy? Is it beneficial to do that training, or are you good right now without it?
You get boxing fits and you get wrestling. You take a lot of boxers, you put them in wrestling, they're going to destroy it with cardio in a matter of minutes. And vice versa. Some wrestlers, you make them hit the bag for 2-3 minutes, they get tired really quick because the muscles that you need to use. Look, cardio is cardio, your lung capacity is lung capacity. But you can get fit sprinting. So it's good to do everything. I like to do all of it, just for fun. But I think for now, having a boxing fight, a bare knuckle fight, you should focus on what you actually want to do. Now you kick the guy in the fight by accident because you're under pressure.
I love you, dude. I love you.
But also in the bare knuckle, you are allowed to hold and hit. So at the same breath, you got to still do your pummeling, your clinch work, and all of that. That's important. So.
Yeah, that's the best part about bare knuckle fighting, not bare knuckle boxing. Because there is a difference, and a lot of guys get that confused. I get upset when guys go, "Oh, I'm fighting for bare knuckle fighting championship, so I'm going to be a bare knuckle boxer." No, bare knuckle fighting is different because of the implementation of the Muay Thai plum
Of the hold
and
in
being
the
able
head.
to work in the clinch.
Yeah.
What was that weird at first when you first did this? Like
No.
going, does it feel funny that you're allowed?
No,
Because
no.
was you know what I mean. In other fights, you
Yeah.
can't hold and hit, but here you can. So was it weird to adapt to it, or did you just say, "Fuck yeah, bah, bah"?
Well, from the MMA, I've done holding it. I've been hitting in the clinch forever. So for me, when I was training in boxing gyms growing up, I was always like, "Oh shit, I can't hold and hit you. I got to break." But I would also, you can also maneuver a little bit to land a few shots in the clinch because you're allowed to in boxing land with couple. You're not allowed to hold and grab and hit the guy, but if you're not holding the guy and he's trying to hold you, your hands are free. You're allowed to punch him. You just can't hold him and then hit it. So that's what the boxers forget. Like they kind of grab the arms and then just sit back and wait for it to get broken. And if you work a little bit in the clinch, like look at Mike Tyson, he used to punch quite a lot inside, even when he was like people trying to hold him.
I see.
Yeah.
So you just had a fight recently at Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship Fight Night in Fort Lauderdale.
Correct. Yeah.
You had you took on Davion Green, and you got the win by KO TKO at 40 seconds into round 3. This was your first fight with Bkfc. How was it for you? How did they treat you? How did you feel?
Treated really
obviously,
good.
I know you felt good because you won. You knocked the guy out. But but other than that, I mean, how did Bkfc treat you versus BYB?
They both treated me great. I'm not going to say the one treated me.
Okay.
They both treated me great. They
And just
both
so you
looked
know,
after me really well.
I'm not asking you to say one's better than the other. I just want to know
Oh
the
yeah,
difference.
no, I know
I just
that.
want to know the
No,
differences,
yeah.
if there was any big differences from the fighter, because you're the
The
first guy
big
I've had on my
difference
show.
is the ring. The big difference is the ring.
Because they have a ring and the other one has a triangle ring.
Triangle, correct. And that triangle is small. If you get stuck in that corner, you're not coming out. So with the ring, it's a little bit different. But the nice thing with the BKFC ring is those ropes are solid. You can't bounce with them. Like you can't play rope it open that. You hit the rope, it's like hitting a cage. That's solid, which is cool. So it's actually more like a fighting enclosure than you would call a ring.
Yeah, it's a real squared circle. That's what it is.
It is, yeah. It's pretty solid,
squared circle, but no boxing ring is a squared circle. But that is a squared circle.
That's a squared circle, yeah.
Bare Knuckle brought it to life.
Yeah, they did. But yeah, both organizations are great. Both of them treated me really well. I didn't have any problem either, but I just got offered the BKFC fight, so I took it straight away. So I was like, yeah.
So did you sign a multi-fight contract with BKFC?
This was just a one-fight deal, so just so that we could, because obviously I was coming from the BYB. They wanted me to have a quick fight, see how it goes, and then we'll go straight from there.
So now that
I want to fight as soon as possible, seeing as I don't have any injuries, I feel good, feeling fit, so yeah.
So is it going to be BKFC again for you, or are you going to go to BYB, or
I would like to do BKFC again. I would love to get on the June card. Towards the end of June at the Hard Rock. I think it's the 24th of June, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'd love to get on that card.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. I mean, I love bare knuckle, and you know me a long time. I mean, we haven't talked in a long time, but you've been on my page, so I'm all into MMA. I love MMA. It's what brought me up here and all that good stuff, and I love it. But the first time I went and saw bare knuckle, I almost shot a load in my pants because I couldn't believe how exciting it was to hear the crack of hands onto the face.
On the head.
You can fucking hear it. But beyond hearing it, when you hear it in the arena, it sends out a wave of energy, like boom, 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 and it's
but there's that knockout.
In.
There's a lot more knockouts and a lot more blood. And
at
the end of the day, people want to see that.
That's what we want. We have a bloodlust.
We
want to see people get fucked up.
That's true. They do.
and Jeremy likes to fuck people up.
Spectators are animals. I love to fuck people up. I love to fight. You know that. I always have.
I do.
Yeah? And I don't mind getting a punch, one or two to land a few. I'm happy.
Sometimes you have to eat one to, dash one.
Yep. Yeah, no, you have to. Part of it, especially when you're my height and everybody's 6'3". 6'2". You got to get inside.
It sucks being the
Yeah.
short guy, but if you can bang, it doesn't
And
matter.
it works to my advantage.
Yeah.
I've
By
made
the
it
way,
work.
guys, everybody, you're watching Cage Side with Christopher James live here on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. Make sure you jump into the comment thread. Nice to see you guys jumping in. Joe, the party Penafield, good to see you. Cleveland will be on at 8 o'clock. Jason, what's up? Debbie Jean, Forrest. So one of my viewers has a question for you, and they want to know how many women are turned on by that sexy accent you have.
Well, I only have an accent when I'm here. You see, when I'm back home, I don't have an accent.
But you live here now, so.
I live here now. Yeah. People love this accent. They like it. It works well.
So, and also off the subject of fighting and the accent, Elon Musk is from South Africa.
Yeah. He's from Pretoria, correct?
Yeah. How cool is it to have that guy just bought Twitter and is making everybody in the world
go fucking crazy? Awesome. Yeah, it's crazy. It's really cool. It's very cool.
Yeah. So you're living here. Are you going to stay here and become a citizen?
Oh, I came in on a E2 visa, so I bought a business. I'm an investor. So I invested in business.
You have a business?
I've got a dual, because I'm a dual citizen. I'm a citizen of Germany and a citizen of South Africa. I'm allowed to come over and buy a business. I bought a supplement and nutrition store out in Western. It's called Total Nutrition Western.
Do you ship all across the country?
Yeah, we do shipping all across the country, but yeah.
Well, shit, tell everybody how they can get in touch with your supplement shop. Drop some information here. So any of you guys watching, if you want to get some good supplements, let me just tell you, Jeremy Smith takes health and engineering his body very seriously. He always has. So
well, that's why I bought the supplement store, because it's something I know.
If it's not, and if he's selling it, it's legitimate. So Jeremy, tell him about your shop. Tell him where it is. Give him some information. The
shop's in Weston, Broward County. So it's pretty near the Sawgrass Mall. Everyone knows that. So it's
Sawgrass Mall.
Yeah, it's pretty close, like 10 minutes from it. So
I love
it. So, so we stock everything, like we're literally from multivitamins, herbs, everything, all the way to sports nutrition, pre-workouts, post-workout, recovery, protein powder, creatines, all of it. So I think the best thing would probably be to follow us on Instagram, Total Nutrition Western. And if you want to reach out, we can get you whatever you need. I can advice, some dieting, that sort of stuff.
And what was the name of the shop
supplements for? Total Nutrition Western.
Total Nutrition in Weston. There's more than one. Is this a franchise?
So Total Nutrition was a franchise. Funny story is I was actually going to buy one of them, and the one I was going to buy I didn't like, and then I met the guy who owned this Total Nutrition, and it's not part of the franchise, but this one was. There was a little bit of one name was changed or something, so they weren't really in a court case, but he didn't really care. And the one that I was supposed to buy, actually, there was a gas leak next door at the pizza shop, and it ended up blowing up. So thank God I didn't buy it. So we're not part of the franchise. It was a mom and pop store originally. It's been there for 17 years. I bought a pre-existing.
So how long have you been invested in that business?
12 months since I got there.
Okay. Well,
14 months, 16 months.
I didn't know how long you invested before you got here.
So no. Awesome. I was supposed to come here before COVID, and then COVID put everything on hold. So the whole world stopped.
How was it dealing with COVID back home in South Africa?
We had one of the strictest lockdowns in the world for absolutely no reason. So the first, when everybody else was getting it, so when you're in winter, we're in summer because we're in the southern hemisphere, you're in northern. When you were in winter, everybody was getting the COVID. We were in summer and no one was getting sick. We had this strict lockdown that people were starving to death, not even going to treat the COVID, getting anybody, salvation was. Then when they released us back, then we got the second wave, which was technically actually our first wave. And our numbers were so high, we should have gone into a lockdown then. But we couldn't go into lockdown then because everybody had been locked down already. So they would have stopped there completely. So it was a bit of a stuff up.
But you survived? You made it through?
I made it through. Gotcha.
Did you ever catch COVID?
I got it in the very, very beginning, the first sort of thing. I got it actually when I was traveling, and I didn't even know I had it. So I only found out I had it because I had to get a test result to get on the plane. And they're like, you can't travel. What?
Well,
It was weird because I'd been training. I went for the test, and the back end took 24 hours to get a result. It was the very beginning. So I went training, and I was sparring 8 rounds, and I went the next day, and I said I was positive. I phoned the guys I was sparring with; they were all negative. No one got it from me. So that was, thank God, lucky. But yeah, so,
yeah, I had it. I didn't even get sick. Like I had the chills for like 3 hours, and
yeah,
I didn't know I had COVID until I went and got the test. And then, and the reason I went and got the test because I had the chills for 3 hours. And that was it. I had the chills for like 2 more hours after they told me I had COVID. And then they gave me no medicine or nothing. And I was fine.
yeah.
I've had 77 COVID tests because of events that I was attending either as a ring announcer
Yeah.
or as a
Yes.
member of the media. 78. And
78, yeah.
and those 78 tests were all for work-related things. Never popped for COVID. I had it before I was doing any work. When everything shut down, like the first
Yes, yeah.
month of COVID, I had it, and that was it. COVID was serious. People still have to deal with COVID, but I think COVID now is just the flu. And that's just a new flu, and we're going to just have to deal with it. So,
We have to
get
learn
used
to
to
live
it,
with it.
world. Get used to it.
We have to learn to live with it because the lockdowns will kill people quicker than the COVID.
Yep, make you crazy, make you do stupid
Yeah.
stuff. That's why here in Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis did the right thing by letting the state open up and get back to living. So our residents and our citizens and the voters were able to live their life and kind of get a sense of
Mhm.
normalcy again. You live here in Florida now. I mean, we don't have any restrictions. We just live. Finally, no more mask on airplanes. I love it. No more mask in Ubers. I love it. It's good times. So you said you want to fight in June for BKFC once again.
Yeah, I'd love to, yeah.
If David Feldman was watching this video, David Feldman, the president, the owner of BKFC, what would you tell him to make him put you on a card again?
Well, I'm guaranteed to make it exciting. I'm going to make it entertaining. I'm going to go there. I'm going to fight my heart out. I'm going to knock the guy out. So put on a show.
Is there anybody out there at BKFC that you want to fight? Do you know enough of the roster, or you don't care?
I know who's in the roster, but I don't really care. Right? I'm making my name there, and I'm going to fight whoever they give me.
What weight class are you fighting at? I forgot to ask you that.
I was fighting 195 cruiserweight.
195.
I used to fight 195.
Didn't you fight was it 185 or 170 at XFC?
185. 185.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. So you only jumped up, 5-10 pounds. You're fine.
Yeah, I didn't want to. And the funny thing is, I probably walk around closer to weight now than I used to for the MMA.
What do you walk around at right now?
What about 215?
Oh, that's not bad. Nice, easy weight cut.
Yeah. I don't like to be. I don't want to be. Don't get blow up as much as I used to.
No, I remember we've had guys that were fighting featherweight at XFC that were weighing in at 145, and then the next day they're 180 pounds. Like, what the fuck?
I still pick up 20 pounds after the weight. Well, anywhere between 15 and 20 pounds, but that's normal. But I find the lighter the guys go, the more they drop.
Yep. So tell everybody your social media, how they can follow you and keep up with Jeremy Pitbull Smith. Because there's some people watching that I'm sure that probably don't know you yet, but they want to know you, and they should know you because I have a feeling you're going to make a big impact in BKFC.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. So it's Pitbull_Smith for Instagram. Obviously for Facebook, you can just go Jeremy Pitbull Smith or just Jeremy Smith, and then but I think Instagram probably like everyone uses that now.
And can you give the Instagram handle again?
So the Instagram is Pitbull_Smith.
Pitbull_Smith. That's how you can follow him on Instagram. And Jeremy Pitbull Smith on Facebook. Dude, you got to get on Twitter, man. South African man owns it now. You got to get on Twitter. And
I've got it now. I've got it.
I have to, bro.
I have to.
You have to show love to Elon, baby.
Yeah, I got it. I was never a big fan of social media. I had to do it. So now I'm getting into it.
Well, yeah, if you don't do social media in today's MMA game or
it's today's world.
Especially, listen to me, and just so you know, at Bare Knuckle, and I know this because I was managing a fighter at Bare Knuckle. I'm not managing him anymore. I'm still learning some of the stuff I'm managing. But what I do know, going through contract negotiations with them, one of the key elements they look at on how they pay you is your social media. And
Yep.
they have an algorithm that they use that dictates what they pay, that helps dictate what they pay. This is a true story. And they do this because they understand the impact of social media today. So you need to be on Twitter. You need to be on Instagram. You need to be on Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook. You need to be on all of them and maintain growth. You need to continue to grow on there, do crazy stuff, shove supplements in your ears or blah. I mean, whatever you got to do to get people to watch, take some supplement, go whoop, and pull it out the other side. I mean, that'll get looks, that'll get views.
So, it's something for views. That's all it is nowadays. Yeah.
And it's crazy because it really works that way now. So if you're not doing it, you're not going to get too far in the world of
anything. It's great. It's free advertising. You can do anything through it now.
So my next guest is sitting in the green room right now. And you guys actually, I don't know if you met him, Tom Shoaff. He fought on the same card in Fort Lauderdale.
Yes.
So this guy right here, Tom Shoaff.
Who was his opponent?
His opponent was, it's so funny looking at his Tapology page because his picture doesn't have the mustache. He fought Bruce Luch Medial.
I thought so, yeah.
Yeah, he won in round 3 via TKO. Yep. He pieced him up the whole fight. Yeah. And he actually broke Bruce's face.
I know Bruce. He trains
broke his
from the
skull.
same area.
Bruce had to have surgery.
Cracked his skull. Yeah, shame man.
So
not nice when that happens. But
hey, that's part of the sport. Sometimes it happens.
Part of the fight game, man. Keep your hands up and protect yourself.
Well, listen, man, it was great catching up with you. We will definitely have you on again.
Likewise.
I'm so happy that you're fighting at BKFC. You enjoy the rest of your night. Guys, it's Total Nutrition Weston. Go check him out. Yeah. And Jeremy Pitbull_Smith on Instagram.
Smith.
Jeremy Pitbull Smith on Facebook. He'll have a Twitter, and when he gets to Twitter and the other ones, I'll let you guys know.
I'll let you know.
Follow him. Jeremy, have a great day. Welcome to America.
Thanks, man.
Blessings.
Thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate you.
All right, brother. Be well. Bye-bye. All right, boys and girls, that was Jeremy Pitbull Smith, man. Like I said, I know him from my XFC days. We're going to jump right into this next guest because I love this guy. And I've been waiting to bring him on because you guys know when I do a show, we got to smoke up. But I was waiting to get on with the 21st century John L. Sullivan, a gentleman of violence, the man himself, Tom Shoaff. And Tom, before I speak to you, this one's for you.
Well, thank you very much, sir. I hope you enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. My brother, it's been a minute. Oh, yeah, he's got his little babe. I love him, man. So it's been a minute since we chatted. So before we get into the fights and everything, man, just tell us how life's been, how you've been doing, man. We don't see you as much at BKFC as we want, but I think that's going to change. But just tell us what life's been handing out to you over the last, little bit of time.
Well, I mean, it was 8 months or so since I had been back in the BKFC. So really, it was just a lot of training for me. I've been in the gym a lot. I mean, I'm focusing on building this facility here and getting it bigger and stronger. And we've got a lot of competitors coming up, and our jiu-jitsu season is never ending. So coaching is always continuous, and that's always been something that has been steady in my life. Me and my girlfriend are doing great. We went and visited Leonard and his wife Leah over the weekend, and spent some time at their church and hung out with them for a little while, and that was great. But really, it's just been a whole lot of focusing on the goal at hand, and that's BKFC Gold.
Yeah, BKFC Gold. There's a lot of people that want that, and I wanted to talk to you about the gold from BKFC and the Police Gazette. But before I do that, how funny was it when I texted you a little while back, messaged you, that 2 people from Indiana that trained in a gym that you were in my car while I was driving Uber one night? How funny is that?
It blew my mind. I mean, you want to talk about a small world? Would you look at that? Yeah, no, that's that's a story you don't hear very often.
Yeah, they were talking about you, and they were talking about Darren Elkins, and they were like, God, Darren Elkins and Tom Shoaff. And when he said Tom Shoaff, because we got into a conversation of what I do besides Uber, and that's how the topic came up. And all of a sudden, I was like, yeah, I said, I cover bare knuckle. And they go, do you know Tom Shoaff? I'm like, the fuck right? Yeah, I do. Tom, the motherfucking Shoaff with the mustache. Yeah. And they just started laughing. And I pulled over the Uber from it on the side of the road. I turned around, I was like, fucking A, how you know Tom? And then they told me they knew you at the gym, and I was like, that is like small world shit, like you said.
Yeah,
It's fucking awesome.
yeah.
But they were so
Very
excited.
cool.
I told them, I said, if you haven't been keeping up with Tom, I said he's fighting soon in Fort Lauderdale. You all better tune into the BKFC TV app, BKTV app. And I told them. So I don't know if they did or they didn't, but they did tell me because I told them I was going to message you, and they did tell me to make sure that I told you that they love you and they miss you, and they fucking give all the fucking props to you. They think you're the coolest motherfucker on the planet.
Well, I appreciate that. That's very kind of them. I haven't heard from them. I don't know if they saw the fight, but I'm gonna go see. I'll go see Eddie and just a few. I'll go see Eddie and Jason and everybody from the gym that we all used to work out at down in Austin in a couple of weeks. So hopefully they'll be down there. And I'll get to see them.
That's awesome. Now, before we talk about you attaining gold, conspicuously absent at the last two BKFC events was the Police Gazette. No medals handed out. There's going to be no Police Gazette belts handed out or technically defended because Arnold Adams fights this weekend. And Lorenzo fought this past weekend, and they still have their Police Gazette belts. You've been around BKFC for quite some time, so you've seen the Police Gazette there. You've seen the medals given out. You've gotten a few medals of your own. What's your take on all this? Because somebody's saying it's about money that BKFC didn't want to pay. Some people are saying that Scott Bird and the Police Gazette are getting a little big for their britches. And I even wrote a comment on somebody's page, and I said, you should never forget who brought you to the dance. And my take, and I'll give you my take before you give me yours. My take is I don't think BKFC ever needed the Police Gazette. I think the Police Gazette needed BKFC more because before BKFC put them on a big platform, nobody knew who they were. And I'm not discounting them because they do have a rich history in the sport of bare knuckle fighting and boxing. And it's cool. So, if Scott or anybody from the Police Gazette watches, this is not me shitting on you. I just felt it was unnecessary for BKFC to be there. And I think in the relationship, I think the Police Gazette benefited more from the relationship than bare knuckle. And I don't know the behind the scenes of if Feldman said, you know what, I'm not paying this fee. All the boxing companies pay a fee. But, I think somebody commented on my page when we were talking about it that the UFC and Bellator and the other MMA organizations did it right. They didn't need a sanctioning body. They became their own company, and you are a UFC champion. You're a UFC world champion. You're a Bellator world champion, and they took that because that side of boxing has always been shady. With having to pay upwards of $200,000 for a sanctioned title fight because IBF said so, and then the fighter has to give up 3% of his boxing purse, to have his belt, defended. So. And I got way off on a tangent there, but give me your take on the absence of the Police Gazette. And do you think it matters at this point? Because BKFC has definitely put themselves out in the forefront. And I wanted to ask you, I've been waiting to ask you this because I didn't want to ask anybody else because you've been around longer than most at BKFC.
Well, I think first I would have to say that I agree with you. I think most people, myself included, didn't know that there was a bare knuckle boxing Hall of Fame until bare knuckle fighting became a thing. I think that the return for the Police Gazette has been much higher as far as that relationship goes, and I think you're absolutely correct on all points. I can't argue against any of that. As far as what's going on with them in BKFC, I don't know. I have talked to Scott briefly, and I've talked to Howie briefly, and they both have given me, I would say, I don't want to say contradicting stories because they're not contradicting each other. They're just I'm getting two different stories essentially. So I don't know.
Two guys at Police Gazette. So you're getting a different story from Scott and a different story from Howie Atherton?
Yeah. So Scott had messaged me, reached out to me, and he had told me that he couldn't be there because of one thing. And then Howie had reached out and said that they wouldn't be there because of something else. So it is what it is for me personally. It's unfortunate that I don't get to see my friends Scott and Howie, But as far as like the sport goes, and as far as my career goes, as long as they're keeping track of the fights and logging things the way they're supposed to be for history for the Hall of Fame, it doesn't really affect me having, like I've said this before, having less medals on my wall. It would be, I would love to have more things to hang up and more memories to cherish. But um, as far as my career is concerned, it doesn't really affect me much. No.
So you also mentioned the Hall of Fame, which I didn't bring up. I'm glad you brought it up because, and when I say this is not to shit on anybody that's at BKFC that has entered the Hall of Fame, but a Hall of Fame is for a longevity of a career, a lifetime of accomplishments, not
Hmm.
for a couple of fighters that, BKFC's been around, what, 3 years? How is
Right.
anybody in the Hall of Fame? It doesn't make any sense to me. Does that make
No,
sense to you?
no, I agree. I think that the Hall of Fame is for just that. It's somebody who's had a long career and has done fantastic things for the sport. Um, Most people are entered into the hall or inducted into the Hall of Fame after they retire, and many of them are after they're dead. So it was confusing for me for them to have the first fight in like June of 2018. And then in what
2019, they're inducting people into the
2019,
Hall of fucking Fame.
yeah, like it's like Arnold Adams, I can understand. Like he was the first one to get it in 100. He was the first one to win the heavyweight title in 133 years. Like
But you don't, but you still don't have to put him in now. Put him in when his career's
right,
over.
yeah,
But
exactly,
to me, that guaranteed his spot.
for
Anybody that
sure.
won all the PG belt holders that won these belts for the
Hmm.
first time after them being on the shelf for 118 years, automatic induction as far as I'm concerned. But not
100%.
now. They still have to do some work. There's
Yeah,
two
I would
things.
say the same with Luis. He
Yeah.
was the first one at 155. In however many years. So yeah, like he's earned his spot. Um, but again, I'm with you. It doesn't make sense to induct them while they're still fighting.
There's two
I've never
moments.
seen referees get inducted, which I'm not
Yeah,
offended by the fact
referees. No,
that
referees should not be inducted. I
but
mean, it's it was all, in my opinion, a play by the Police Gazette to just try to make themselves more relevant. Oh, look, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing. But I'm going to tell you, there are
for sure.
two legitimate things that should be in the BKFC or the Bare Knuckle Hall of Fame right now. Um, David Feldman, because he brought this back and he did something huge. He's going to get inducted. I have no problem with him being in. And the only other thing, in my opinion, that should be in right now, and again, if you're already in and you're watching this, I'm not shitting on you. Congratulations on your induction. There's a reason that you got it. So relish in it. You're there. But the only other moment for me that should be in the Hall of Fame right now in BKFC is Jason Knight and Artem Lobov, because without that fight happening the way it did, I don't think this explodes as much as it did, because that fight was the fucking sickest fight that I've ever seen live in my life.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. No doubt
You
about
know,
it.
so
Yeah, no,
woo!
I can see that. I Again, and in 10 years down the road, when they've had a history and you can look back on
Right.
what started this whole thing, yeah, I could see that. But it being 2 years into the BKFC and people only understanding or figuring out that there's been a Hall of Fame, and then all of a sudden they're throwing a bunch of inductions.
Yeah.
It
And
seems
now
a little silly, but again, you have to understand the position that Scott and them are in. They're in a small town in New York. Not many people know about it. They want to get as much publicity and
absolutely.
understanding to preserve the history as they can. And in this day and age, that comes with money, So they gotta do something to keep their name in the game. So
Yeah.
you
You
know,
know,
mad at it. I
and
respect them.
but it's funny that this year the Hall of Fame inductions will not have anybody from Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship in it. It's going to be BYB guys.
Fine.
So,
Good
but
in.
but 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 this says to me that there's more behind the scenes of why this relationship
Yeah,
went
I'm
sour.
sure.
Like
I'm sure that
I'm
there's all
I'm
kinds
taking it's.
of
I
drama.
feel like Scott Bird is taking his Hall of Fame and going, "This is my toy, and I'm leaving." I take my ball and I'm going
He
home.
he does own it. He's
He
got the
does
right
own it.
to it.
No,
So,
absolutely, but it's like there's something childish on there. But anyway, I digress. We'll move forward. But thank you for being honest, because I know if I ask a question, I'll always get the honest opinion and answer from Tom Shoaff. Some other
alright.
guys won't answer that question honestly because they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Mhm.
So you just recently fought on April 21st.
Mhm.
So we're talking a little over a week ago. You took on Bruce Luch Medial. you broke him. You literally broke that man. He just had surgery on his skull and everything. I watched that fight, and I was out driving Uber that night, and I pulled over and I took myself offline because I wanted to watch your fight. And I watched your fight, and every time you fight, dude, fucking win or lose, when Tom Shoaff is inside that ring, you're getting a fucking fight. I don't know if all the decisions that have gone against Tom are legit, but we can't walk them back. So
Right.
we only walk forward in this world, and Tom only walks forward. But man, how good did it feel to really how good did it feel to get a win back in there, and in the fashion you did it, brother?
Yeah, it was great. I've been on a mission to prove that I belong in this sport since I got here. I was fighting in the wrong weight class for a little while, and my record was really upside down because of that. So since I've been at 55, it's been entirely about redemption for me. And to go out there and get another finish, it staples my place in the 155-pound division. I'm the only person with 3 wins outside of the champ. I'm the only person with 3 finishes, including the champ. And I've done it, back to back. I've been consistent, and I couldn't be happier with my performances. I'm ready to keep it going. I'm ready to continue what I'm doing and continue my winning ways and my dominant performances at 155 pounds. Man, that's all I'm thinking about.
So what do you think it's going to take for David Feldman and the powers that be at Bare Knuckle? And now with their acquisition, or the acquisition by Triller, what do you think it's going to take for you to impress somebody enough to say, you know what, let's give Tom Shoaff, the guy who's on the face of all the pictures, and all this. I mean, it's you.
Yeah. Right.
What do you think it's going to take? What do you think it's going to take for them to give you that title fight, brother?
I'm hoping I did it over the weekend. I'm hoping by stepping outside of my typical ways and talking some shit before the fight, and then stepping outside of my ways and talking some shit after the fight, being a little loud and obnoxious. I'm hoping I got their attention. If not, it is what it is. I'll just have to keep beating people up. I mean, that's really the long and the short of it. If I continue to win, they can't deny me.
At some point, they're going to have to give in and say, all right, Tom Shoaff gets a shot.
Exactly. You guys keep throwing bodies at me, and I'll keep stacking them.
Here's a message from the animal, Tom Shoaff, or Travis Thompson. He says, Tom Shoaff, my man, how you doing? Always a pleasure to see you.
I'm doing well.
Travis the Animal Thompson is another dude like you. I know when Travis is in the ring, I'm getting entertained. Regardless of the outcome, I'm going to be highly entertained because Travis is like you. He comes to fight. Here's a comment from Forrest Daniel. He says, tell Tom he's one of my favorite Bkfc fighters. He believes you're well-rounded and fast, and not to mention accurate, and that you're improving every time he sees you, which is what you just said. I mean, he nailed it.
Yes, he did.
Forrest is my fight geek. Like, he comes on, he watches he follows MMA, he does picks, and he knows so much about fights. I should probably have him be like my co-host on the show at some point here, because he's
not a bad idea. I think you should.
Yeah, he's probably sitting there right now going, "Fuck yeah!" Uh-oh. And I think you were on his podcast. I don't know if it aired yet, but my man Quiggin.
Yeah, Quiggin.
I love Matt Quiggin. That's my dude right there, man. We go back a minute.
Yeah, that's fantastic. We did a podcast when we were over at Leonard's actually over the weekend, so he just put that boy on the other day.
Here he goes. Forrest goes, what other show does the host take a minute to do a bong rip? Nobody. I love this show.
That's high quality entertainment right there.
This one's for you, Forrest.
There you go, Forrest.
Oh yeah. Normally I smoke a blunt or a fucking pre-roll or something, but I didn't feel like rolling one up, and I got my grandson out in the other part of the house. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit in the room and enjoy the bong rips on the show tonight.
Absolutely. Keep it clean.
So, what do you think of the acquisition by Triller? Was that kind of a shock to you? Did that come out of left field? Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing, or again, it doesn't affect Tom Shoaff, or it does? Or does it?
I was having a conversation about that earlier today, because I was talking to my buddy Jeff. And give me one second. I'm gonna close this door. We got these damn kids running around here.
These damn kids.
Yeah, obnoxious. Anyway, so no, I was talking to my buddy Jeff about this before because he was telling me how, when you go to certain shows, you have, it's a certain feel at certain shows and so on. And BKFC has always been like a party. You go there and it's just like a party. And there's always music going. There's always people dancing, having a good time. And then they got fights, So but it's always a good time. And I said, I made the comment, well, that it's only fitting that, Triller picked him up because I feel like that's all Triller does. Like they put on concerts that happen to have like fights at the halftime show, as opposed to the other way around. So as far as like the acquisition goes and then Triller acquiring BKFC, I mean, it's cool. It's more funding, it's more money, it's more leeway, so to speak, for them to be able to do new and bigger things. But again, I really don't think it's one of those things that has an effect on me very much. My paychecks still look the same regardless. So yeah, it is what it is.
Maybe one day maybe one day there'll be another zero on the end of that check. I mean,
yeah, I would like for a couple more zeros to be on the end of that check, but I'll start with one. Why not?
We'll start with one. I mean, you got to start somewhere, right? You got to start somewhere.
Exactly.
So outside of your division, who's your favorite BKFC fighter?
AJ. Arnold Adams. That's my boy. That's my dog. I love that guy. Well, I would have to go with AJ 100%. And not just because he's my guy. AJ is intelligent. He's fast. He's sharp. And he has power, even though most people don't expect it. Yeah, man, AJ for sure. No questions asked.
So Arnold fighting this weekend, taking on Dylan Kleckler. This is going to be a fight. And I haven't looked at the odds because I don't want to look at the odds. I have a problem predicting this fight because I love Arnold. He's always been respectful to me. If I want him to come on the show, he comes on the show. He's treating me like the media person that I am. But we've cut up a few times. It's like you. I've cut up. We've had some fun after the Julian Lane fight. And then we had some fun in Daytona. We've had a good time. This is one of those fights, and I have history with Dylan because I've announced him. And he's part of my combat sports family, and so is Arnold. And so I have a hard time picking this fight. I already know that you don't have a hard time picking this fight. You're picking Arnold Adams to win the fight. But give me your breakdown on how this fight's going to go. I mean, and give me your honest breakdown without any Arnold Adams bias, if you can do that.
Okay. My honest breakdown on this fight is going to be range and movement versus forward pressure and ability to land shots. And what I mean by that is Arnold has incredible range and he's very slick and he's got great movement. And it's going to be that against Dylan Kleckler's ability to get inside, get through that range, and land heavy shots. We know he can hit hard. We know he's got good combinations. And we know he's effective when he moves forward. So that's really what it's, in my opinion, that's going to be the battle of game plan that we're looking at, And I truly think that AJ's got the skills and the know-how and the experience in there to be able to perform his game plan all 5 rounds if needed.
Yeah, I'm expecting this fight to be warlike. It's one of those fights because I think that each guy knows the style that their opponent brings, but I also believe each fighter also knows that they can adapt to the other guy's style and maybe even use a little bit of their own style against them. Arnold's a very intelligent fighter. Dylan is an intelligent fighter. I know Arnold, isn't going into this fight, just like whatever. I know he's been putting in work in the gym. I know he's watched, videos of Dylan, so he knows what Dylan brings. He knows how Dylan's going to come forward, and vice versa. The same thing with Dylan. Dylan doesn't, just treat this half-ass. I mean, he chose to come to BKFC over an opportunity to fight in the UFC. More eyes on UFC than BKFC. financially, I think he got a better opening deal from BKFC than the UFC standard opening deal, and I think that helped him make the decision. But he's invested because he wants to be the champion of the world, whether it was here or the UFC. Arnold's got what he wants, and I know Dylan a long time, and I know Dylan doesn't take no for an answer very well. So I'm excited, man. My hairs are standing up right now, and there's a lot of fights out there that I love, the matchups, but every once in a while one hits me on the hairs, Like if they told me they were going to book you and Joe Elmore again, the hair on my neck would stand up because that was one of my favorite fights I've ever watched live as well. I know it didn't come out your way, but fuck, dude, that was a fucking fight. That's what I go to see. I want to see fucking action, go back and forth. And while I love a knockout, I'm not a fan of the early knockout. Some guys want to see the early knockout. I want to see some accumulation of some violence, from like you, from a gentleman of violence, the 21st century John L. Sullivan. You come in there to fight. This is my opinion. I don't think you're ever looking for the first round knockout. If it comes through the course of what you do, you'll absolutely take it.
Absolutely.
But you're not knockout hunter like some of these other guys.
No, I don't look for knockouts at all. And I think that just comes from like my general boxing background. My coach, not my old coach, my coach. He used to say to me, like, when you're boxing somebody, I want you to imagine that you are a lumberjack and your hands are the axe and you are just chipping away at that tree. And that's what I think about when I'm in there boxing. I'm not throwing every ounce of power I have into every shot. I'm not doing that. I'm chipping away and I'm breaking you down slowly but surely. And some people break faster than others. That's all.
Yeah, and Forrest said this. It goes, I want to see Tom break a fighter down and get the KO later, which is what he does.
Yeah, that's what I like to do. I'm there to put on a show. So
he also wants to know, do you have like a Golden Gloves background?
No, I had 2 amateur boxing matches. That was it. And I don't think either one of them were in a Golden Gloves tournament. I think they were like just little sanctioned smoker fights. One was down here in Oklahoma, and then one was back in Illinois. But as an amateur, I only had two boxing matches, a couple kickboxing matches, and mainly MMA. The predominance of my career has been MMA fighting. I've just always been a striker. I've always been somebody who wants to punch you in the face. To be totally honest with you, the only reason I started doing jiu-jitsu was because I got like 7 or 8 fights into my amateur career and somebody took me down and I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I still happened to win the fight, fortunately, but I got taken down and I got confused and I was like, I got to learn this jiu-jitsu stuff. So I started training jiu-jitsu. I want to say, well, it was after I moved back from Oklahoma back to Illinois. So I was 21 or 22 at the time, and I started fighting when I was 18. So, yeah, the predominance of my career, though, has been MMA. I don't have any Golden Glove experience at all.
So, you know what I've never asked you? I think I ask almost every fighter on my show at least once, during one of the interviews, or usually sometime on the first time. But what do your folks think of this shit for you, bro?
I think starting off, they were like most people's parents. They wanted to be supportive because it was what I wanted to do. But they were, kind of standoffish. But I was really good at it when I started. As an amateur, I was 22-1. And then as a professional, I was like 6, and I think I went 5-0 or 6-0 before I took my first loss. Like I was really good. So they were very supportive because I didn't take a lot of damage. I didn't really get beat up all that much. And so they kind of came around to it. Now that I'm doing bare knuckle and the fights are much different and much more extreme, they're a little more standoffish to it now. But my dad loves it, honestly. He does. He's all about it. He loves showing pictures of the fights to his friends and stuff like that. Like he's a wild man. My mom, she could do without it, but again, she knows it's what I want to do and it's what I love to do, and I'm really good at it. So she supports the hell out of me for it.
That's awesome.
I'm sure they would rather I did something a little less destructive to my body, but they won't tell me that.
Yeah, they won't tell you. But it's cool that your dad, like, even though he worries about you, like, showing his friend, hey, look, that's my boy knocking that dude's face off with no gloves.
I can check you. I'll show you something right now. We got this picture hanging up here at the gym, and it's from the Joe Elmore fight. My dad had that made, so he had that made for me and sent it down here to us.
That is outstanding.
He's super supportive. He's all about it. He enjoys showing off to his friends.
Has he been to one of your fights live at Bkfc?
No. My dad's old as fuck. My dad's like 76 years old.
My mom's 76.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know what kind of health your mom's in, but my dad has had some health issues over the last couple of years. Suffered a couple of strokes, things like that.
Sorry to hear that.
He didn't get out of the house much. But so no, he hasn't been to any of the BKFC fights. He came to a couple of MMA fights when I was younger, and that was really cool. But no, he hasn't. He hasn't been.
Oh man, sorry to hear that. Maybe one day he'll be able to. Maybe one day he'll be able to, man. Just that'd be cool.
Hey, Michael.
Sit him up there, sit him right up front next to Feldman and be like, "That's my boy."
Yeah, exactly. Maybe we might have to do that. I'm gonna have to fly him out one day. I don't even know if the man can fly, but we'll see.
Dude, if he can't fly, you just rent a big fucking van and fly me out, and I'll drive him to wherever he's got to go.
Perfect. All right,
I'm not even playing, bro.
I
just can't afford to pay for the shit myself.
I understand.
You take care of it. I'll get him there safe.
All right. Well, if that's the case, maybe I want to spend time with him, and I'll just drive.
Then you do that, dude. I was just, it's during fight week. I'm just trying to help you,
Sure. I appreciate that.
I would totally do that for you, dude.
Very much, guys. Thank you.
Yeah. And then in exchange, I just want to walk out with you. That's all.
Cool. We can make it happen.
All right, cool. I've never done that with a fighter. Even my own fighter, Marcus Brimage, when I was manager, I didn't even get to walk out with him because they had too many people on the. No, it's all right, man. I mean, it's part of, he needed his coaches more than he needed me, I mean, so.
I guess
anyway,
they're going to be in the corner.
Huh?
I guess, but they're going to be in the corner.
Yeah, I know, but BKFC only let 3 people walk with. Actually, only 2 people walk with them.
Yeah.
It was in Miami. It was in a small venue. It was really crowded and cramped. So I get it.
I got you.
If he could have, he would have. And I know that he couldn't because they told me directly. I didn't. You get it from him. I got it from them because me. I talk to motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Wait, no. So, but anyway, listen. I'm gonna shut up and let you go. Because I know you said you need to get out by 8 because you got a class to teach.
Yes.
Delivering the knowledge to the youngers. And I like that, dude. Just make sure you give them the proper mustache waxing tips as they're getting older, and they start to get their peach fuzz.
I
might shave all this off and do yours. I don't know.
If you do, I will. I will make sure that you walk out with me every time.
Dude, I'll just shave it all off and just let it grow out and.
Good. Yeah. Absolutely. What you could do is just start now. Just don't trim the mustache whiskers at all, and just let it start growing. And then it gets big and full and bushy. And when you're ready, you just pull it up and start cleaning all this stuff out, and you'll be good to go.
Or maybe I'll just let it grow out and grow big, and I'll keep the beard, but I'll make this thing so monstrous that I'll come out to like this far on my face.
Yeah, I like that
with
too.
The beard.
Yeah,
that'll be a little different.
Have you seen Tyler Goodjohn?
Yes.
He's got a beautiful mustache. With the beard, he's got a pretty beautiful mustache. So yeah, it's not bad for a setup. Give it a shot.
Well, listen, brother. Always a pleasure chatting with you, dude. One of my favorite people. Thank you so much for taking the time tonight, man. Congratulations on the win. And I agree with you. I don't think there's much else you should have to do to get into that title conversation. And if anything, all right, one more fight, get a knockout, you get to finish what you do, and you get the fight. But I can't see it being more than one fight. I just don't know what they have in mind, with who else is available. Plus with Triller, how they're going to book fights. We haven't seen really the effect of Triller yet, and we might see, like Mike Richmond should get the fight against Thiago Alves.
100%.
he's earned it, but it might be Mike Perry because Mike Perry and Thiago Alves is probably a higher profile fight to make, and with Triller being involved, I think they want the high profile fight. So I don't
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah.
and I understand both sides of the coin. It sucks, for the guy that gets left outstanding when he's earned it, like Mike Richmond just might end up being.
Yeah.
But even after that, let's say that's what they do, he's next. I mean, you can't shoot him after that. So let Mike Perry and Thiago beat each other up, and then Mike Richmond's waiting in the wings, and that would be the only acceptable scenario if Mike Richmond doesn't get the shot
Right away.
right away.
Yeah, and honestly, that might be a little better for Richmond, just because we haven't seen a lot of Thiago or of Mike Perry. So let him get a couple.
Thiago's had 2 fights. Mike's had 1.
Right. So let him get a couple more rounds in there, and he can get a better feel on what they're bringing to the table potentially. Better read on them. So, but
Yeah.
anyway, I mean, hopefully it works out in everybody's favor, and they don't push too hard on the what the media wants to see, not
Right.
social media, so to speak. It's
Yeah,
like
I know what you're saying.
these guys are names doesn't mean that they deserve the fight. It's like Chad Mendez being ranked number 1. It's like, bro, you've had 1 fight. You beat a guy who's 1 and 2. Like, it doesn't make sense for you to be ranked number 1. But again, I understand both sides of the story. That he's the name. He brings things to the table that other people don't bring. So he deserves a shot.
Yeah, I don't get it, man. The rankings don't add up for me, but I'm not the rankings guy. I'm just a guy who watches and loves the sport, and sometimes I just don't understand shit, and that's okay. I'm not supposed to understand everything, man. So I'll just watch the fights, and I don't give a fuck about the rankings because.
Yes, sir. I'm right there with you.
Well, listen, bro, go impart knowledge on the younger generation, dude. They need it.
I'm going to do
They
my
need it
best.
bad.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
Thank you always for being here, man. We'll see you real soon. Real quick before you drop out, give everybody your social media so they can keep up with you if they don't have it already.
Tom Shoaff on Facebook, and I'm pretty sure I'm just at Tom Shoaff on Instagram. Nothing special or over the top. I don't have Twitter. I don't have TikTok or anything else. So Facebook, Instagram, that's what you can find me on, at Tom Shoaff.
That's it, guys. That's Tom Shoaff. He's going to go out and teach the youngest, man. Be good, man. We'll see you soon.
Absolutely. I'll see you later, Chris. Thanks.
All right, brother. Bye-bye. That was Tom Shoaff. He even stayed over a couple extra minutes. He's got a class to teach. I'm waiting for my next guest, Cleveland McLean. I just messaged him to let him know that he's coming up, so hopefully he'll get this on here. And if he doesn't show up in a few minutes, we'll just clear out and we'll bring him on another night. Sometimes things come up in life. I don't ever get upset if a fighter sometimes doesn't make it. They might have gotten time confused. They might just be busy in the gym training. And, if it comes down to it, training or come see my show, come do my show, go train. There's always time to do another show, man. So while we are waiting, let me pull up. Junkie real quick. UFC 274 is this weekend. See, I even announced the wrong fights earlier. That's how stupid I am because I'm just having one of those days, So we can go over a few of these fights while I'm waiting for Cleveland to jump into the show with us. Here's a fight that really intrigues me on this UFC card this weekend. Brandon Royval versus Matt Schnell. Relatively similar in records. Some similarities in the style that they bring. Royval and Schnell are 2 guys that, despite the fact that they fight in a small weight class, they're big fighters. And when I say big, I'm not talking about size. I'm talking about they're big fighters. These guys come to bring a fight to the octagon. And both of them, not just one of these guys. There's some guys that fight a certain way, and there's other guys, like when you see their name on the card, you get super excited because they're going to jump in and give you a show. This is a prelim fight. It's the second fight of the night. And I just love it. It's 3 rounds, and, I should pull up the odds of this, but I don't want to, let me pull up the odds. Hold on a second here, guys. I have to see something. UFC. All right, here we go. I'm using fightodds.io or dot whatever. It could show me everybody's picks here. So let me get down to this fight. Brandon Royval is minus 255, 244, 280. So the average or a Unibet. So some sites have him as high as minus 325. Matt Schnell is favored by nobody. He's a plus 200 on almost everybody's pick. But this is one of those fights to me that's a pick 'em fight. I feel both these guys could bring it inside. And my boy Forrest is calling for the second round. Second round submission win for Royval. So that's interesting. But Forrest is good at making his picks. So I listen to him sometimes. Next up on this card that I wanted to jump in and jump over, I'm going to do a few fights, and then I'm going to jump out of here if I don't have Cleveland here by 8:15 or so, because I don't want to sit around here and wait for the guy. So I've got some stuff going on. Don't forget Island Fights coming up May 28th. You got in Pensacola, Florida. We got 2 Bkfc events this weekend. We got UFC 274 this weekend. Randy Brown and Chaos Williams. Let me get Forrest. Go ahead, Forrest. Give me your prediction on Randy Brown and Chaos Williams. I'll get to that one in a minute. Give me your pick on Randy Brown versus Chaos Williams. Dun 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 dun. Do do do. Boom 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 boom. Oh, by the way, JJ, I love you too. Williams by decision. And let's see. This is almost pick 'em. There's some sites I have 125 minus 125 for Chaos, minus 105 for Brown. There's a lot of those. Nobody's more than plus 105 on Chaos, and the highest that we get on here is minus 135 for Chaos. And nobody's more than plus 105 on Brown. Close fight. I'm going to go with Randy Brown to take this one. I just have a feeling in my belly. Cerrone and Joe Lozon. Cerrone is the favorite on every website odds maker that I could see. But it's minus 164 versus plus 144. Again, there's not a big swing in the odds for a reason, because these guys match up well. Some people think, oh, the odds should be higher in some fights, but why? When two guys match up well, this is where the line should lay. You shouldn't have somebody that honestly, when you see fights that are booked and you have somebody that's a minus 600 favorite to a plus 400 underdog, that's a mismatch. That's a bad matchup. Matchmakers need to do better than that. That's just the way it is, in my opinion. So, Open St. Preux taking on Shogun. I think Lozon's going to win too, Forrest. I really do. I think Joe Lozon's going to win. I don't think he wants to lose, even though he's fighting Cerrone. Cerrone's a dog in there. We all know that, but I don't think he's going to lose. I think Joe Lozon is just as big of a dog, and I think he's going to come out there and put it on. Open St. Preux and Shogun Mauricio Hua, all across the board. Open St. Preux is the favorite. Now, Open St. Preux is 25-16. He's coming off a 2-fight losing streak. Lost by knockout and then by knockout. So both in the second round. Is his head right? Is he healthy enough to go in there? Can he survive taking punches to the dome? All the odds makers are picking Open St. Preux. I'm picking Open St. Preux. He's an XFC veteran. I announced him before he ever made it to the UFC, before he made it to, Strikeforce, all that stuff. always been in his corner. He's a super duper human being, human being, and I love him to death. I'm pulling for him to get this win this weekend. Next up on the card that I want to jump into, we're going to hit. I did get these fights right earlier. I thought I got them wrong. Tony Ferguson and Michael Chandler. These are pretty much the same all across the board. Anywhere in the minus 400 to 465 range for Chandler. Ferguson, anywhere from plus 300 to plus 336. So, again, the odds are, definitely, I don't know, I think maybe a little slighted for Chandler. I think, based on what Tony's, gone through his last few fights, it's probably why he's getting this kind of odds against him thing. Oh, man, this is going to be a good fucking fight. These guys are going to bang and beat the shit out of each other. I personally don't think Michael Chandler has ever seen anybody like Tony Ferguson before inside the octagon. And I think Tony Ferguson is coming back in, because Tony Ferguson has been around, for quite some time. His last fight was, a year ago. Almost a full year ago, he lost to Benio DeRouche. He got lost by unanimous decision. Before that, he lost to Charles Oliveira, and before that, he lost to Justin Gaethje. He got knocked out by Gaethje. The other two were, unanimous decision wins for him, or losses for him. I'm sorry. But I think Tony Ferguson is out here to prove something, but not to us. To himself. Tony does not need to retire, man. Stop with that stuff. He's 25. I mean, look, before he lost to Oliveira, what was he on? Or Gaethje, he was on like a 12-fight winning streak, right? So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 in a row. So now he's lost 3 in a row. Sometimes, the world evens out a little bit. You don't know that, dude. I mean, it all depends on opportunities and what happens. So, but Tony Ferguson going into this one, like I said, the odds are against him. But I don't think Michael Chandler's fought a guy like him. I think he's going to bring in some good stuff for this one. I'm taking Tony Ferguson on the dog in this one. Next up, Carla Esparza and Rose Namajunas for the Women's Flyweight Championship of the world. Everybody's going in on the champ. She's anywhere from minus 202 up to minus 229 on the high end, or minus 270 on the high end. And Esparza plus 182. That's the highest one against her, and the lowest one against her is 160. So plus 160 and plus 182. That's the range where they've got her. Esparza owns a win over Namajunas. Namajunas is not the same fighter, but neither is Carla Esparza. I got history with Carla Esparza. She's awesome, and I think she's out here to prove that she's still championship caliber fighter. So I'm gonna ride with Carla on this one. Don't care what the odds say, and it's not like these are the big spread either. These are close odds. So I'm taking Carla to be the first woman to be second woman to be a 2-time strawweight champion, because obviously Rose is the first one to do that. And I think, with Carla beating her, back in the day, I think, Rose has always had, an issue. We know this. She, deals with stress sometimes and, anxiety. And I don't know. I think this might be something that sits in her head, So we'll see how it all plays out. Good one. Oliveira and Gaethje. Oliveira is favored by every site out here that I see. MyBookie, Bovada, BetAny Sports, BetUS, DraftKings, FanDuel, SportBet, Pinnacle, 50 Dimes, all of them. BetOnline, OG, AG. And Gaethje is the underdog. From 140 to the 158 range. For Gaethje as a plus. And for Oliveira, you know, it's all in the 170, 165. So 165 and 194, you know, that's the low and the high of where people are favoring him. But, you know, we'll see. This is going to be a really good fight. Gaethje has sick power, but Gaethje also is not fighting the way he was before. He's not coming out there just trying to fucking, you know, go all out war. He can knock you, and he can crock you and move you and groove you all across the octagon. Oliveira is a crafty son of a gun. He's a champ for a reason. I'm really excited about this fight. I'm going to take Justin Gaethje to become the new undisputed UFC lightweight champion of the world this weekend. Well, boys and girls, I'm out. I'll reach out to Cleveland McLean, and we'll try to reschedule him for another day. But we out of here, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed the show. So do me a favor, make sure you tell your friends about it. I'll be back next week with some more guests, I think. So it should be next Monday night. I'll let you guys know during the week what's up. Happy to be back on the air with you guys and bring you some content, man. It's been a while, man. I appreciate you guys that continue to support the show. For those that didn't, you know, stick around while I had to take a little hiatus for mental health issues, hopefully you'll come back around, you know, and you start seeing me do my thing again. And stick with me, man. Just be ready to jump in when I'm ready to jump in. You know what I'm saying? I've always been there for you guys, man, trying to bring you the best content I can find and create for you. Love you all. Thanks for being a part of my life today and for allowing me to be a part of yours for just a little while. It truly means the world, and I can never put it into words. But that's it. We out of here. So until next time, I am Christopher James, and you've been Cage Side. Good night, everybody.
What happens if you lose, Nick? Who the hell is Aquaman? I get Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Pebbles, I get sausage biscuits. Maybe you guys will see a little footage of that later on because we got some good stuff. Throw up the deuces. There you go, baby.